G'day guys, Matt Brand here. You might have noticed that we've been reviewing a lot of cheap SUVs recently, and they come from two countries, China and India, both of which are capitalizing on what Skoda did just a few years ago, bringing a cut price, fully loaded, premium-ish option to the market. Since this thing went on sale at about 2020, it's gone up almost 10 grand. This base model Skoda Kamiq style, it'll set you back about 38 grand drive away. Now, it's not just because Skoda are money hungry. I mean, look, there's an element of truth to that. Every business needs to be more profitable, but everything for these companies are going up, just like you and I. I'm certainly feeling the pinch. You've got growing wages, growing costs of goods, materials, shipping costs, fuel, and so I'll just quash this now. It's no surprise that this thing is a lot more expensive, but that doesn't mean you don't have other options. The Chery Omoda 5, that is a larger SUV with a more comprehensive spec list. However, if it was my money, I would probably still go for a safe bet. And it's got nothing to do with, perceived reliability, but actually it's got more to do with just how refined and how good the Skoda Kamiq is. So today I'm going to take you on an exterior tour of the Skoda Kamiq. We're going to move on to the interior, see what it's like, and also what are some of its pitfalls. We're going to take this thing for a drive and performance test it, see just how quick it is. And then I'm going to end on, should you buy a Skoda Kamiq, especially over its Chinese competitors? So let's get into it. I've got a pretty embarrassing story and it actually relates to the exterior looks of the Kamiq. You see, this week I had to take my dog for his annual vaccinations. As we were leaving the vet, I went up to the car. I couldn't open the door. I was thinking, what the hell? Turns out I was at the wrong Skoda Kamiq. In fact, I was at a white Skoda Kamiq. I've never ever done that before. So I think what that tells me is that the looks are a little bit tame. You've got a cool LED daytime running light, but you do have incandescent bulbs at the front, which I don't really like that. You've got pretty bright LED lights there too. You have a very nice Skoda grille with a radar there. Skoda badge, of course. Yeah, look, I think this thing looks pretty okay. I think it probably is due for a bit of a refresh, but because looks are totally subjective, you can let me know what you guys think down in the comment section. Do you think they should update this? Let me know. Let's check out the side. Now, coming to the side, you're gonna notice these 18-inch alloy wheels here. They are wrapped in some pretty good, pardon the pun, Goodyear tires. And they have a nice bit of sidewall to them, so that's good. No stupid black plastic cladding. I love that. There's no 360 camera on this car, and it does have a pretty poopy quality reverse camera, so we'll leave it at that. It does have keyless entry though, and go. Of course, you have your roof rails up here, but otherwise there isn't too much going on here. As I said, it's a bit tame, and I think for a lot of you, you'll probably appreciate that. Let's check out the bum. Now, coming to the bum of the Skoda Kamiq, and actually, this is probably my favorite angle. Don't know why, I think it's just these lights back here, maybe because they have a sequential indicator, which is pretty cool. You've also got a 3D effect to these tail lights. Love the Skoda badge there. Kamiq badge too, and otherwise there isn't really that much going on with it, and that's a good thing. And I'll tell you what else is a good thing, though pretty common now, and that is a powered tailgate. Back in 2020, that shocked us. It's like, what? It came with a powered tailgate? But now it seems that a lot of cars at this price point, mainly its Chinese competitors, also have a powered tailgate. So unfortunately, these features that were really special, especially in a car at 27 grand, are kind of no longer special. However, the boot space back here is phenomenal. Is really, really good. You have a reversible cargo net. You've also got some shopping hooks, and it's super easy to throw down the second row and get even more space. Not to mention, under the floor, you get a space saver spare wheel, which is always good to see. But how does the interior stack up against its Chinese competitors? Well, let's look at that. Okay, so coming now into the interior of the Skoda Kamiq. What's it like? Well, let's first talk about the Skoda quirks that you get. So you get a little ticket holder here. You have an ice scraper in the fuel filler cap. It also used to be a ruler and a magnifying glass, but doesn't seem to be that anymore. I mean, it's winter today and I'm in a t-shirt in Australia, so that should show you how cold it is here. I will say for Melbourne, this is pretty lucky weather, but also, even if it was raining, we have an umbrella in the door. I just love it. There's like little quirks like that. The Kamiq actually feels a lot more premium on the inside than its sibling, the Volkswagen T-Cross. I mean, you touch around and there's soft touch materials everywhere. I like the denim cloth effect on the doors. That's pretty cool. The steering wheel is phenomenal. Love it, love the golf ball effect. The buttons though are a little bit confusing. I don't love those, but at least you can control the digital instrument cluster, which comes as standard on here. Definitely not the fastest system out there, but it is still pretty good. Same as this 8-inch infotainment display, like it just works. It's pretty quick. It does have wired Apple CarPlay and wired Android Auto. No wireless here though, which is a bit of a shame because it does have a wireless charger, so you just have to use one of the 2 USB-C ports. There's also no navigation or digital radio, both of which I can live without because I'm just going to be using Apple CarPlay anyway. Practicality is fantastic. One of the things that Skoda does very well is practicality. So you got a huge glove box here. You have a massive hidden storage compartment to the right of the steering wheel. Massive door bins too, and the center armrest is nice and soft and you can extend it. Ooh. However, it doesn't have much space on the inside, and the same can be said for the cup holders. They're really small, so most of my bottles just do not fit inside of there, which is a shame. Still, it's a minor complaint because I haven't really found any issues. You do have a leather wrapped handbrake here. You do have a bunch of blank buttons here, just to remind you, you did get the POV spec. But as I said, when you're sitting in here, you feel like you've got all the features in the world that you need anyway, so I'm really not complaining. Your air conditioning controls are a bit of a mixed bag. It is a digi analog system here. However, if you want to really fine tune it, you have to press the menu button and then do so from the infotainment display. It's really not a big deal. Frankly, I just leave it on auto and change the temperature, so it works fine for me. But if you're someone that likes to control your fan speeds, you're probably not going to love it. And then you have the seats, which are frankly better than what you'll find in Chinese competitors. Even though they're a cloth, it's not like a crappy cloth. You've got some suede on them too. They look great, but more importantly, they are supportive. You do have adjustable lumbar support, and even though you can't adjust the thigh angle, it's fine because Europeans are pretty tall, so they seem to have nailed it for this one. And I also like this copper highlighting around the interior too. It's a genuinely nice place to be. Oh, and shout out to the sound system. It's weirdly good. Weirdly good. Completely unbranded, but better than pretty much all of its competitors. Let's check out the back seats. Okay, so back seats. What's it like back here? Well, you can see I'm nice and sprawled out, and that's because you get so much space in this car, which is mind-blowing. It's really short. It's like 4.2 meters or something. It's really, really short. So what they've been able to do on the interior is really impressive. So I'm 5'11". I sit notoriously far back, but check out how much legroom I have. Heaps of headroom too. Tow room is also fantastic. So getting 2 adults into the back of here, you're gonna be loving it. Genuinely, it's very good. You've got a couple of air vents here and 2 USB-C ports. Map pockets there too. Quality definitely takes a hit in the back, but that's not totally unexpected. It's still very cheap, even though it's gone up in price. These seats, ooh, they feel very nice and they're very supportive back here too. It is unfortunate there is no center armrest though, but beggars can't be choosers. So yes, even though you're not as wowed on the interior as you would be in a Chinese car with all of its technology, at least all of it works every single time. In fact, the only quirk is when you're listening to AM radio and you put the indicator on to the right side, you can hear the static of the flashing lights. That's it. That's a pretty minor thing. Very niche. I'm so old before my time. Let's drive this. Okay, so driving the Skoda Kamiq. Let's put our foot down, give it some sauce. Pretty decent. So powering the Skoda Kamiq, at least here in the base model, we have a 1-litre 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine putting out 85 kilowatt of power, hence the 85 TSI, and 200 Newton meters of torque. And actually, sport mode, foot down, surprisingly good. This is really where the Skoda Kamiq shines, is that at its price point, it is just so much more refined than its Chinese brand competitors. There's always some sort of compromise with those cars. Yes, they are loaded in terms of tech, but it's always quite unrefined, whereas this is just like, everything works. You know, you're not making any compromises. It's not necessarily the best at anything. I will say fuel economy is fantastic, averaging 5.4 liters per 100 kilometers. I've been driving like a bit of a nincompoop, but because it comes from Volkswagen Group, everything is so seamless and it's able to use a lot of technology from around the place. The 7-speed dual clutch, we've seen it for years from Volkswagen products, and it's just incredibly refined now. Even when you come things like this, come to a stop, engine turns off because of start stop, they've actually improved it. So it takes a second, but it's okay. You know, it doesn't flash the lights. You know, the whole electronic system doesn't turn off like in a Mahindra. The steering is really well weighted. We don't have drive modes. I know I said I put in sport mode, but that was just the transmission. Still, it's super direct. It goes exactly where you point it, but it's still light. So it's great for around town. The engine is not too thrashy, even though it's a 3-cylinder. In fact, you hardly even notice it until you really put your foot down, and then you just get some vibrations and it just, you know, feels connected. I love that feeling. Now you can actually get this with a 4-cylinder, the 110 TSI. Puts out more power and more torque, but honestly, I don't think need it. It uses a little bit more fuel, and yes, it has a bit more punch, but this still has plenty. The car doesn't weigh very much. So if it was me personally, I'd just stick with the 85 TSI. I will say the suspension is a little bit stiff. Maybe not the greatest for around town, but it is the greatest for going around a corner. Let's go. Saucy corner, baby. Bit of wheel spin. The shifts are really quick. Really refined for a dual clutch, honestly. All right, first quarter. Let's go, baby. That is super impressive. All right, second quarter, come on. Yeah, that did a great job. And that shows that the body control here is fantastic on the Skoda Kamiq. You're not kind of roly-polying all over the place. It is just super predictable, and I like that. The other thing too is the autonomous driving suite. It's so good. When you compare it to these cheaper Chinese cars, they often have super reactive and loud safety features, but let's put the car, oh God, look at that. We can press the travel assist button, little icon comes on there, boop, travel assist selected. This thing will essentially drive itself. Don't do this at home, but the steering wheel is turning itself right now. This is unreal, don't do this. But I'm just trying to show you the autonomous driving is fantastic and really well refined. It's really hard to complain about this car, even though yes, it has gone through quite a lot of price increases. And I think for most people, you're just gonna appreciate that it works every time. Nothing is surprising, but everything is nice. But of course, the ultimate test for any 3-cylinder is launching it. So let's do that. Okay, so now we're gonna launch the Skoda Kamiq. We got the transmission in sport mode. We're just gonna floor it. Come on, baby. Bit of wheel slip. I'll tell you what, I really like the power delivery of this 3-cylinder. That's pretty good for a 3-cylinder, 0 to 100 in 10.09 seconds. Okay, so final thoughts on the Skoda Kamiq. Should you buy one over a even cheaper now Chinese SUV? Look, first of all, this thing drives better than the majority of Chinese SUVs on the market at the moment. What Volkswagen Group can do with a small engine is incredible. I really like this 1-litre 3-cylinder. I love the way that it drives. The interior is pretty much no frills, but comes with everything that you would want. Even the unbranded sound system is awesome. I think until those Chinese SUVs can kind of niggle out some of those issues and some of the unrefined features, then 100% the Skoda Kamiq should definitely be at the top of your list. And if you want to watch our MG ZST review, click over there, and over there is a Chery Omoda.